Hi guys, welcome back to the Pandas Essentials. In this lecture, we are going to talk about combining and merging datasets. Data contained in Pandas objects can be combined together in a number of ways. Merge and concatenation are two very common ways. Merge connect rows in data frames based on one or more keys. This will be familiar to SQL or other relational database users as it implements database join operations, whereas concat or concatenate stacks together objects along an axis. So if you don't know SQL, don't worry. The concepts of merging are presented with very simple examples so that you can follow the steps. Although our focus here is not to learn SQL, we only want to go through the widely used and few very important inner and outer joining operations for the data wrangling. If you have questions, please ask and we are more than happy to help. Important thing you should know is merging operation may give NaN in the output, and those NaN values needs to be treated according to the circumstances or requirement during the data analysis. Let's move on and discuss these methods with examples. So merge or join operations combine data sets by linking rows using one or more keys. These operations are central to relational database. To work with, let's move on to the Jupyter notebook and start working with the data. So this notebook is same and we may not need to import pandas and numpy because we have already imported pandas and numpy at the very beginning of this notebook. To move forward, we need data to work with. Let's create two dictionaries and then convert those dictionaries to data frames using pd.dataframe. So the dictionary d1 equal to, we have key and our data is say A, B, C, D, and E. And we have another key A1 and we pass in range 5. So we can use range function to create a list of numbers for this key A1. And another key say B2 and we again pass range and now we start with 5 till 10. So this is our first dictionary. So let's create another dictionary D2 and we have key as key and we pass in data A, B and say C. And we have another key say A2 here. So here we can again use range and pass in 3 here. Another key is B2 and once again we can use range and pass in 3 to 6 here. So let's run this cell and see how the D1 and D2 looks like. So these are our dictionaries. Let's create data frames from these dictionaries. So df1 is our first data frame, pd dot. We can use tab to autocomplete and pass in d1. For df2, pd dot, we can use again tab to autocomplete and d2. Let's run these cells and see how the df1 and df2 looks like. So this is our data frame df1 with a1, b1 and key columns, and we have data frame df2 with a2, b2 and key column. So before we move on, let's explore merge method first. Let's add few lines and type pd dot merge and press shift tab to see its document string. There are several parameters that we can pass to the merge method, and the most important ones are how and on. These are our focus in this lecture. So let's talk about little more on how parameters. How are inner, outer, left or right? Inner uses intersection of keys from both data frames, similar to SQL inner join, whereas outer uses union of keys from both data frames, which is similar to SQL full outer join. If how is equal to left, this uses only keys from left frame, similar to SQL left outer join. On the other hand, right uses only keys from the right frame, which is similar to right outer join. On is a label or list, which is a field name to join on, and this must be found in both data frames. Let's try to merge the data frame using inner operation. So we will pass how equal to inner. Although inner is a default operation, we will still pass in because we are learning here. So let's merge our data frames pd.merge, and our data frames are df1 and df2, and how we want to merge on inner. And now we need to tell the merge which key we need to merge on, and that key must be present in both data frames. So key key is the one which is present on both data frames. So we want to merge on key. Let's run this cell here. So here we have the output. So D and E did not appear in the merged output. Inner returns the intersection of the key columns only. This is why we don't have D and E in df2, and we don't get this in the output data frame. Let's try this one with the outer. Copy this one, and instead of inner we pass in outer, and let's run this cell here. Now we have some NaN values as well. So outer is a union operation. We are getting NaN values for A2 and B2 columns, and we are getting NaN for the values that don't exist in df2. Let's try another one with left here. Let's run this cell and see how it looks like. So once again, NaN values for index D and E in A2 and B2, as they don't exist in df2. How equal to left will only use the key column of the left data frame, which is df1. This is similar to left outer join in SQL, and we are getting NaN for A2 and B2 in our result data frame, because those values does not exist. Let's try right here and compare how the results look like. Left. Look, this is different from the left. If you compare, on the left we are using the key column from df1, whereas in right we are using the key column from df2. So df2 doesn't have D and E, and we are not getting D and E in our outer data frame. Let's try another merging example with two keys, say key 1 and key 2 columns. This is a little complicated, and we have to create another data frame, say left and right. And I will go to the reference notebook and copy the code from there. So here we have the code. Let's copy this thing and I will explain what it is. Let's paste it here and run this one. So what we are doing, We are creating a dictionary and passing that to a data frame to create left and right data frames. Both of these dictionaries, we are getting key 1 and key 2 columns, and we have string and we have list of strings for key 1 and key 2, and for A, B, and C, D other columns in our data frames. Let's see how the left and right look like. So here we have the data frame. Left, A, B, key 1, key 2, C, D, key 1, key 2. So the key 1 and key 2 columns are present in both data frames, left and right. Let's add few rows to make a space here. And so let's merge pd dot merge. What we want to do, we want to merge left, right are our data frame. Left, right are our data frame, and how we want to merge inner, which is actually default. And now on, because we want to merge on key 1 and key 2, we need to pass in the list here. So key 1, key 2. Let's run this thing and see how it looks like. So as we know, inner is intersection. Only the key pair present in both data frames will appear in the result. So we have key AA, BB, BA, CA. AA, AB is not present in both. BA, BA is present in both. CB and CA. So the only AA and BA is present in both, and this is what we are getting in the output here. Let's try with outer join now. Pass in outer here, and we know outer is a union operation. So all key pairs present in both data frames will appear in the result. So we have AA, AB, BA, CB, BB, and CA. And wherever it doesn't get a value, it's putting NaN there. So this is a union operation. Let's try left here. So for left join, the key pair in left will be used only. So let's try this one here. And we have the left data frame, we have key pairs AA, AB, BA, and CB. Any key pair which is not in left data frame is not appearing in the resultant data frame. Let's try the same thing for right now. So for right join, the key pair in right will be used only. Let's run this thing now, and we are getting the key pair which is present in the right. AA is present in both, and BA is present in both. BB is in right, and CA is in the right. If we look at the data frame here, AA, BB, BA, and CA. And we are getting CA and BB in this one as well. I hope you got a very good understanding on merging operations. So moving forward, let's talk about concatenation now. Concatenation is interchangeably referred as binding or stacking as well. This operation basically glues together data frames. It's important to remember that dimensions should match along the axis we are concatenating on. We can use pd.concat and pass in a list of data frames to concatenate together. So let's create two data frames, df1 and df2, to learn more about concatenation. df1 equal to pd dot data frame, and let's pass in a dictionary with key A and list of strings A0, A1, A2 and A3. So another key B and a list with B0, B1 and B3. And the third one is C as a key and list C0, C1, C2, C3. And another one say D as a key and list D0, D1, D2 and D3. Let's pass in index here as well and say our index is a list 0, 1, 2, 3. Just because we have A0, B0, C0, D0, 1, 2, and 3, so we have index 0, 1, 2, 3. Let's run this cell and see how the data frame df1 looks like. So here is our data frame df1. Let's create another data frame with the copy this one, paste it, and change it to df2 and change these to 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 6. This is 6 as well. 5, 4, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now for D as well, D4, D5, D6, and D7. And let's call this index to 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let's run this cell and see how the data frame df2 looks like. So this is our data frame df1 from index 0 to 3, and for our data frame df2 we have index from 4 to 7. Let's concatenate these two data frames pd dot concat and pass in the list of data frames df1 and df2. And if we press Ctrl tab, we see the default axis is 0, which is row. So let's run this cell. Here we have two data frames stacked together with 0, 1, 2, 3. This is our df1 and this one was df2, and both are concatenated along axis 0, and this is our resultant data frame. So we can concatenate data frames along the columns as well. In that case, we have to pass in x is equal to 1. Let's copy this one, paste it here, and pass in x is equal to 1. So let's run this cell. So here we have our two data frames concatenated along axis equal to 1 along the columns. So in this case, we are getting lots of NaN values because 0, 1, 2, 3 index does not exist for our data frame df2, whereas 4, 5, 6, 7 indexes doesn't exist for our data frame df1. So in this concatenation, we are getting NaN values. This was all about merging and concatenation at the moment. I hope you got a very good understanding and better idea how the merging operation and concatenation works. If you don't have knowledge on SQL, You may need to revise this section. Just go through the lecture again and repeat all these exercises. See you in the next lecture where we will talk about group by operation. Good luck.